The post-game show as the Titans improved to 3-2 on the season with a 37-19 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. The Titans return home to face and host the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football 8 days from today. Austin Stanley, Zach Bingham of A to Z Sports here for the post-game show live from Mill Creek Brewing Company. The Titans, like I said, 3-2 with a win over the Jags today. Special thanks to our sponsors of Titan Game Day Live. Mill Creek Brewing Company, the home and the host of all of our away game broadcasts. We'll be back at the mainstay right there on the edge of downtown and East Nashville for the home games next week and the next upcoming weeks. Also, Nashville Power Sports, NashvillePowersports.com for your brand new golf carts, custom made at NashvillePowersports.com, and BetMGM, the king of sports books. Download the BetMGM app today. Use that code ATOZ Sports for risk-free bet up to $1,000. Zach, it was ugly. It was an 18-point win, but it wasn't very pretty, and a lot of working points, a lot of things to be critical of. But the Titans did go down and take care of business against now the 0-5 Jags. The Titans are 3-2.
Yeah, so two things in that second half stood out to me on why the Titans got the win. I think we talked about it at halftime. What did they need to do to start the third quarter?
Score a touchdown.
What did they do?
Score a touchdown.
And really that set the tone because that extended the lead, right? They had an 11-point lead at halftime. Boom, you score a touchdown, and you put Jacksonville in a position to play catch-up from behind from you got to have multiple possessions to score. That took, as I said in the pregame show, James Robinson out of the game plan, and that was big. He had 110 yards in the first half. He finished the game with only 149. So he didn't have that many yards in the second half because the Titans strategically took him out of the game. So number one, scoring right out of halftime in the third quarter. And then we cannot ignore, you have Trevor Lawrence. You think he scores, then he didn't score. It becomes 4th and goal. And the Titans defense make a goal line stand. They take advantage of that, extend the lead even more. Those two plays, scoring out of halftime and the 4th and goal, decided this game, and it proved that the Titans took care of business in Duval County.
Yeah, and that 4th down play for Trevor Lawrence, I mean, that game was really close to being a one-score game. That touchdown could have made it a 5-point game at that time. And the Titans offense struggling throughout the second half. After that touchdown, punt. And really, I think they got 1-2 first down maybe after those or during those 3 punting possessions. And so finally putting something together to put it away at 37-19 towards the end of that game. And so the Titans do win that game. Derrick Henry having a nice game, right? Like you thought you'd want to try to get Derrick Henry out of this game by minimizing his touches. Well, at the end of the day, he had 29 carries for 130 yards and 3 touchdowns. And so here you go again with Derrick Henry carrying the load for a victory for your team.
Well, you get a long week because you've got the Bills on Monday night, which is beneficial, and the Bills and Chiefs play tonight. You're going to really have to ride Derrick Henry over the next 2 weeks. Now, you host both games, which is a plus, but Buffalo and Kansas City, Derrick Henry is going to have to be your all-star. And, man, have you put a lot of weight on 22 shoulders just in the first 5 weeks of this season. Todd Downing has got to find a new scheme that he doesn't wear down in a season that's +1. They got 17 games this year.
I don't think it's a scheme. I just think
that is. I mean, it is the scheme. I hate to say it.
I don't know.
It is Todd Downing's scheme.
It is his scheme, but I don't know.
Derrick Henry has never had this many carries in his career at this point.
That's not a scheme. That giving Derrick Henry the ball 30 times is not called scheme. That is called volume. The scheme is how you set it up and how you go about actually executing the ins and outs of the
volume
play.
Of carries is a scheme.
That's no. Todd Downing's scheme is to not give the player 30 touches a game. That's not a scheme.
He is.
That might be a game plan, Zach, but that is literally not a scheme. That's not how the word scheme is used. That is incorrect. It's not a scheme. The scheme is how you block things up and how you set things up. And right now, I don't think the scheme is the issue. because the offensive line is this atrocious. Like Ryan Tannehill, again, getting hit game after game. He was sacked at least 3 times today, now 20 times on the season. Ryan Tannehill is getting hit. Derrick Henry is just getting flooded for the most of that game. The Jags had 8 people in the box, and the Titans have to be able to win down the field to back up the safeties of the defense if they want to have any shot at it.
Yeah, and we will get to Ryan Tannehill's grade because a lot of people in the comments talking about the hits that he took and the plays that he made. But the Titans get a victory today, and this was a much-needed win, 37-19 in Jacksonville. Man, we're going to look back at that Jets game, I feel like, down the road when you're fighting for playoff position, and you're going to say, why did you mess that up against the Jets in New York? You worked let's just say you worked your butt off to beat Seattle in Seattle. You took care of business against a Colts team that was struggling with injury. You got the win. Everything was ahead of you to get prepared for the hardest stretch of the season, which is week 6 and week 7. At home against Buffalo, at home against Kansas City. They won today. They have some issues, though, right? I mean, we cannot ignore they've got some injuries because you look at their injury list before this game, it's like getting prepared for Thanksgiving. That's how long the list is to go to the grocery store. That's how long their injury report is. And they've got to improve getting set for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, Christian Fulton has a hamstring injury now, and so that's not good. He left that game and didn't come back there at the end. And then this team drastically needs Bud Dupree to get right. And I don't know what my confidence is for Bud Dupree to get right. He missed his 3rd game in a row. They need somebody opposite of Harold Landry to really make that pass rush look complete, because Harold Landry is working his tail off to get pressure on every quarterback the Titans face. Today he had 2 sacks, but nobody else is coming from the other side to help keep that quarterback in place. And I'm also watching the reason why the Jags' rushing offense was so effective in that first half is because all the guys on the edge of the defense not named Harold Landry and with Bud Dupree out can't set the edge. I mean, like Amani Bledsoe is getting abused and just allowing James Robinson to have all of this room to run by. Rashaan Evans is blindfolded guessing gaps in the run game and guessing wrong, and Jane Robinson squirts through for 58 yards early in that game too. So there's a lot of undisciplined play from the defense, which means they need their superstars back, like Dupree and Christian Fulton.
Yeah, and then they need their superstar and Julio Jones back and A.J. Brown to play at a higher level to set the tempo of the game, right? Because if you're good on offense, you control the clock and you put less pressure on your defense. Let's get to our one-word game, though, because we do this every single game on our post-game show.
We do. One word. What is one word to describe the Titans' win today over the Jags, 37-19? What is one word to describe the Titans' win over the Jags, 37-19? But real quick, let me tell you guys about Nashville Power Sports and NashvillePowersports.com. You need to head there. If you want a brand new custom golf cart, they've got you at Nashville Power Sports. They can customize anything about the golf cart. They can make a 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater. Anything can be street legal. Custom carts, you build it, or they'll build it after you imagine it. Just go to NashvillePowersports.com to see what they have on the lot there.
Got a lot of vocabulary words rolling in here. We are broadcasting live at Mill Creek Brewing Tap Room. It's a great atmosphere. They got dynamite cheeseburgers. You've seen that on our Instagram handle. And Nashville Power Sports, that ride, you got to love that ride. They can customize the golf cart of your dreams. We got a Titans-themed golf cart right here in the corner at the brewery. A lot of words coming in. One word to describe the Titans' win: needed, rebound, solid, nerve-wracking, relieved. Landry is a good word because Harold Landry played well. Expected, needed, suspicious coming in from Thomas, so he's not pleased.
I think suspicious is good. What are some other words people are commenting?
Barely coming in from Keith. And I sit there and I have my word that mine's positive. Mine's not the, barely or one of those
Suspicious.
words. My word is KB. KB standing for Kevin Byard. Byard set the tone to start. He intercepted to close.
Yeah.
And he was in on the tackle on 4th and goal. And that was a team effort. But I thought Kevin Byard played very well. That's the kind of standard that we know from Byard.
Man, I just really like the suspicious word. Like, I don't believe it. Not buying in. Like, these are
37-19.
I know, but like, this game was a lot closer than the final score shows. 31-19, the Jags had 1st and goal with plenty of time left.
Who made the stops?
Well, the Titans made the stop, but like, I just don't believe this team has any significant future. I am seriously doubting the Titans as an actual playoff contender, to do anything worth anything in the playoffs.
I think you are speaking on pure emotion. I think the reason why is watching the Jets game.
Sure. No, it's watching the Cardinals game.
The Cardinals are undefeated. They're the only undefeated team in the NFL.
Zach, they got blown out at home by 25 points.
The Cardinals are the best team in the NFL.
I know the Cardinals are good, but it's Ryan Tannehill has been sacked 20 times.
No, look, they've got issues, but I think that Jets loss really changed the mindset
the Jets
of Titans
loss
fans.
Counts. Yes, it does.
I'm not saying it doesn't count, but they came in there and they took care of business.
Karen's telling me to shut up. No, I mean, the Titans are flawed. That's going to be my one word, flawed. It's a flawed victory. I know Dean Pease got after some Atlanta radio guy for saying something was an ugly win. I mean, that was an ugly 18-point win. It might be the ugliest 18-point win the NFL's ever seen, but it was. It wasn't pretty. Injuries keep happening for this roster. Ryan Tannehill getting hit. Derrick Henry racking up a workload that is unprecedented in the NFL, and not having your playmakers available week after week after week. They can fix some of these things. I think they should get healthier. I'm still concerned about the offensive line because I don't think the O-line can get healthier because they're going to need the same guys to play through, just beat up and hurt. And I just flawed is this win because I thought it was an incomplete pass. That was just my opinion on the opening touchdown of the game. I thought it was an incomplete pass. Spotting the Titans 7 points drastically changed this game because if you take that out, it's really close.
Ifs and buts and beers and nuts.
I know. That's why
you're going back.
Zach,
you're going backwards.
Zach, this is analysis. I'm analyzing what I saw. It's a flawed win. They won because Derrick Henry outlasted the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are now 0-5. That's a good thing. But Derrick Henry can't do this every week for 17 games. And the whole thing about this, it's not about 17 games. The Titans' goal is 18, 19, 20 games. And I don't think Derrick Henry can do this for 18, 19, and 20 games.
Well, maybe they're counting on, because they play in a bad division, of wrapping things up early if the Colts continue to lose. And Derrick Henry is not being used as much at the end of the season.
I said at the end of the halftime show, I said I would like to see the Titans score a touchdown and get a stop and put Derrick Henry on the sideline for the rest of the afternoon. They scored a touchdown. They got to stop. They couldn't do anything offensively for the next 3 possessions, and Derrick Henry had to come back in, rack up more and more yards, more and more hits. And I think the Jags hit Derrick Henry hard today. I don't know if you noticed that, but they hit him hard a couple times today. And so
I'm with Trevon. Austin has always done this every week for the last 3 years. LOL. I'm kind of with you.
That's Tevrin.
I think this has kind of been the script that you've always said over the last 3 years. Never satisfied is okay, but this is not a flawed win. This is a 37-19 victory that Austin ended a streak today.
Yes, it did, in the streak. Mike Vrabel, congratulations, Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. You have your first win over a rookie quarterback in the 4th year as being a head coach.
So they did take care of business, 37-19. They moved to 3-2. What about Ryan Tannehill?
Ryan Tannehill, it's it's interesting because Ryan Tannehill's stats. You just want to go ahead and grade Ryan Tannehill? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
jumping right into it. That's fine. So let's go ahead and grade Ryan Tannehill's stats. I'll read his box score here in a second, grading the stats for Ryan Tannehill. But real quickly, let me remind you about where we're going to be next week, Monday Night Football. We will be live at the Mainstay. That's right outside of Nissan Stadium on the edge of downtown and East Nashville. You can park there, which is Monday Night Football. This is important. Park at the Mainstay, pregame at the Mainstay, then go to the game, come back postgame at the Mainstay, and your car is right there. Easy enough. So come hang out with us at the Mainstay next Monday, the 18th for Bills Titans.
I was at the Mainstay last night. Had a Mill Creek beer right there live at the Mainstay. Took advantage. I walked across the street to Rolling Stones, which is a great show. It's a perfect place to pregame for events at Nissan Stadium. There is going to be an event on Monday night against the Bills. So they need to take care of some business there against Buffalo. We'll see the Chiefs and the Bills tonight on Sunday Night Football. Grading Ryan Tannehill, though. A through F. Austin, you want to dive into the comments to see what type of grades? Look, I know you have been very critical of this game, even though the Titans won 37-19. What are the fine folks saying in the comments?
I was going to read the stats first. Ryan Tannehill was officially 14-22 for 197. He threw one touchdown pass to Michael Pruitt, sacked 3 times for 13 yards, a quarterback rating of 107.6, ran the ball 3 times for 21 yards. Most people I'm seeing Caleb B minus here popping up as these comments jump on me. B minus from Marquis. Orlando says B minus. B from Sin City Titan. William with a C. Tones with a C. Rick with a C at best. Tyree a C plus. His pocket presence right now is worrying. Jeff is at a C. A lot of B's. So Zach, I'm mostly seeing B's about Ryan Tannehill here.
Yeah, well, and I think for Ryan Tannehill, you look at what he did. That guy's a gamer. I've talked about his toughness. His toughness is pretty impressive. He can't get hit as often. I don't think it's completely his fault, but the offensive line has got to improve. I think Ryan Tannehill, I think that B range is probably right. We've seen a lot better performances from Ryan Tannehill. I think a solid B is where I'm going to go.
Yeah, because I don't know how many of the Titans' issues are Ryan Tannehill's fault.
Right.
Like, everybody's saying, oh, he's got to get rid of the ball. He hangs on to the ball too long. But we were also complimenting Ryan Tannehill the last couple of years that he was willing to hang on to the ball, stand in the pocket, wait, and then deliver it down the field. So I think Ryan Tannehill is probably Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, the most consistent part about this offense. Everything else is inconsistent. The tight ends, the offensive line, the run blocking, the pass blocking, and all the wide receivers are inconsistent, where Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry stay and perform pretty well overall for the most part.
Yeah, and Ryan Tannehill's got to continue to be that leader for this offense. Hopefully get Julio Jones back. That'll help. And A.J. Brown didn't have a setback today. That's a positive.
Well, and we didn't see a lot of A.J. Brown. He finished with 3 catches, 38 yards on 6 targets. And so, I don't know if they rested A.J. down the stretch. Did you notice A.J. in there getting a lot of work? No, I think they kind of let A.J. hang out in the second half, which I think is a smart move.
Which we thought was happening with Julio Jones when he left, but ends up he was injured.
No, that's a good point. So you can't take that as rest. You have to, leave every option open, even though Mike Vrabel told us that A.J. was simply resting. But overall, I think Tannehill has been fine. I'm concerned about this offensive line and the defense's ability to play strong throughout the entire game.
Jarrell brings up about the wide receivers not getting open. I think one positive, McNichols has improved in the passing game. That's something that you like.
Guess who got hurt today?
He did. I don't know how serious it is, but
I don't think he came back. And that's the crazy thing with this Titans season is just everybody's getting hurt. Like Christian Fulton has been balling out. He got hurt, left with a hamstring injury, which is not the same thing he'd been dealing with, which was the calf. Jeremy McNichols has been fantastic this season on third down, catching the football, also getting some spots and some carries as well. But Boogie says he came back. That's great. I'm glad he came back, but they gave the ball a lot to Derrick Henry down the stretch of that game.
Ryan Tannehill is going to have to play his best the next 2 weeks. You are going to need 17 to play his absolute peak. And we've seen him play at the elite level. So that's not beyond him. These next 2 weeks are very, very important. And you got to get healthy. I don't know how healthy you can get. Bud Dupree needs to play on Monday night. Julio Jones needs to play on Monday night. And the offensive line needs to be full force to protect 17 so he can play at his best.
Yeah, I'm reading some comments here. Lee says, speaking of tight ends, please stop letting Swaim lead block. Yeah, Jeff Swaim is having a really, really rough season. He's not good, really doing much of anything right now. And the Titans don't have anybody. Like Michael Pruitt is the best tight end the Titans have. He's had a great year. Ferkser's been in and out of lineup. He was hurt a couple games and hasn't really done much. But Jeff Swaim has just been a turnstile whenever he's tried to run or pass block.
And that's what he's paid to do. You know, I mean, that is why they re-signed him, is for his blocking ability. But Michael Pruitt, as you mentioned, has been a light in the tight end room that has been diminished. Yeah. The tight end is definitely a position of concern. And if they're going to continue to improve, that position has to continue to improve.
Also, Boogeyman says Marcus Johnson had good separation today. Yeah, Marcus Johnson, I thought, his first game was a tight. He had 3 big catches for 52 yards on 5 targets. I thought Marcus Johnson played a nice game through training camp. That's kind of what I would expected to see from Marcus Johnson as the wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 type of role. See, the thing is, if A.J. Brown, Julio Jones are healthy, Marcus Johnson, Chester Rogers, you can trust them at 3 or 4. You got Josh Reynolds, who's like the best 5th wide receiver in the league. And then you've got, no, seriously, like Josh Reynolds is a 5th wide receiver is pretty dang good. And you've got a lot of depth, but the Titans' depth has been cut out at the knees with all their big name injuries.
Yeah, Titans get the win today, 37-19. They move on to 3-2. Jacksonville 0-5. That's not a good look. If you scroll down the league, the Texans, they played the Patriots today. They lose 25-22. They were actually leading most of the game.
Oh, really? I thought the Patriots were done.
No, Patriots tied the game, then kicked a field goal to go ahead.
Hilarious.
25-22. The Texans moved to 1-4. And the Colts, Monday night at Baltimore, the Colts are 1-3. They moved to 1-4. Tied with the 1-4 Texans and the 0-5 Jags.
Yeah.
You talk about Derrick Henry and maybe sitting him down late in the year because you've got that division a stranglehold. Monday, look, I'm not telling you what to do on BetMGM. I would tease that Baltimore down to 6.5, and I put some money on Baltimore.
I think
that's probably what I'm gonna do.
Well, I might put some on because I'm in hedge play here because I've got a parlay that all 3 legs now have hit. All 3 out of the 4 legs have hit now that the Patriots came back to win. I might put some money on the Colts money line there too. Ben says the Colts are about to get rocked. Jarrell says Baltimore needs to get this one. Orlando says, I'm not going to read Orlando's comment because Urban Meyer, how mad is Urban Meyer right now being an 0-5 NFL head coach?
It's definitely not the season that he visioned this early. And obviously what happened with Urban Meyer this week, we all know. But he has a bad football team. At the end of the day, the Jacksonville Jaguars picked number 1. That means something. They got Trevor Lawrence. They're not good. Defensively, they don't have the players. And offensively, they don't have the players. They don't have the offensive line. Trevor Lawrence is running for his life. So this is going to be a long uphill climb this year.
All right, because I've been so negative, I want to end this post-game show on a positive segment. Is
Thank
that
you.
fair?
Yes, thank you.
Fair?
I appreciate that.
We don't give game balls, really, and haven't really, but I'm going to give a lot of credit to somebody who has been probably the best defensive player for the Titans in 5 games. Harold Landry is about to get paid a lot of money in the month of March 2022. And he is going to deserve every cent of it. 2 sacks today. I was just going to look at his box score because it was insane. 7 tackles, 2 sacks in the backfield all day long, 3 quarterback hits. He came into today leading the NFL in quarterback pressures and adds to it another great performance. He got put in a bad spot where he was one-on-one with a tight end in the red zone on goal line, give up a touchdown. That's not Harold Landry. Harold Landry is getting after the quarterback this year and has been phenomenal. And I think that guy deserves so much credit because he's not getting any snaps off. But the guy is out there playing nearly every snap, going hard, motor revving, and Harold Landry deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, and he's asked to do a lot of things. This is his 4th year with the Tennessee Titans. Maybe his last, but the 4th year because he's a second-round pick. They really have never given him consistent help on the opposite side to rush the passer.
Even now.
And that's what I was about to say. Bud Dupree, the guy that they actually brought in, unavailable. And we know why. I mean, he just coming off of an ACL
That was why
injury.
I was actually, we were at Mill Creek Brewery when they signed Bud Dupree in free agency. We did the morning show there that day during March Madness when that happened. But Bud Dupree's, that was the whole thing about signing Bud Dupree.
They like hurt guys.
They think they're getting value.
They like hurt guys.
Because guess who also was hurt when he was drafted by the Titans? Harold Landry.
Yeah, he was.
Like, I forgot about that. Like, Harold Landry was a first-round guy who dropped to the second round because he had an ankle injury at Boston College. So will they pay Harold Landry? I have no idea. Will they franchise tag Harold Landry? I doubt it because Harold Landry is going to get a bunch of money, but franchise tags are expensive. So that's my positive segment on this postgame.
I like it. PVOs, as we say, positive vibes only to end this postgame show. Before we get out of here and give the thanks, how are you feeling heading in to Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills right now? Obviously, Chiefs-Bills tonight, but kind of give that temperature of what you feel, because big storylines this week, the injury report. That is going to be a big-time test to see who is going to be available and who is not. How do you feel heading into the biggest 2 games of the season?
I mean, I just talked for 3 minutes very positively about the Titans and Harold Landry. And so I don't feel good about the Titans situation really going into these 2 games. It's a tough stretch because they've got Bills, Chiefs, then at Indy, then they've got the Rams. I mean, if you can win, if you go 2-2, that's great. If you can get 2-2 through these next 4 games, one of them has to be Indianapolis. Enough said there. But 2-2, I think you're happy. But it's not going to be easy to get the 2-2.
Any weight of them manhandling Buffalo last year?
No, none. 0. The Bills are better than they were a year ago. The Bills were better later in the season than when the Titans played them. The Titans caught lightning in a bottle against the Bills and had a great game last season on Tuesday night. But no, I do not expect that to happen again.
If you're taking that route, I think the Titans are going to surprise you, Austin, on Monday Night Football. We got a long time to talk about that matchup, but that's how I'm feeling. I think when the lights go on, I think Derrick Henry comes to play. I think A.J. Brown will perform well, and I cannot wait for that matchup.
Demetrius says optimistic. At least the Titans give him a reason to go to the game Monday night coming off an ugly win. Yes, true there. Ryan says beat the crap out of them last year with no practices on COVID. They got to get healthy. You're right. Big time week to get healthy for the Titans. Titan Game Day Live from Mill Creek Brewing Company in Nolensville. We'll be back out here when the Titans go on the road Halloween weekend to Indianapolis, where the next 2 games will be at the Mainstay in East Nashville, right next to downtown in Nissan Stadium. For Monday night, hosting the Bills the next Sunday against the Chiefs. Come check us out. Special thanks to NashvillePowersports.com. If you need a golf cart, go check them out. NashvillePowersports.com. They do awesome work for your custom brand new golf carts. And BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Download the BetMGM app. Use code ATOZ100, or I'm sorry, ATOZ Sports, and you get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 with your first deposit and your first bet. Hope you guys enjoyed the rest of the Sunday slate. We'll see you guys Monday morning. We'll see you then. Thanks.